Hello, everybody, and welcome to the We Know the Traitors podcast over here on RHAP. I'm your host, the Duke of Deception, Pooya Vakili, ready to continue talking about Traitors Season 3 US cast and breaking them all down and getting introduced to them one by one until the inevitable premiere on January 9th. I'm joined here today to talk about Wells Adams here. We've brought one half of the Bachelor, Bachelorette RHAP-ups over here on RHAP, the one and only, the OG, Haley Strong. Haley, how you doing?
I'm doing well. I'm so excited to be here to talk to you about not only the Traitors, but Wells as well. So this is going to be a lot of fun. I was excited to see he was in the cast, and I'm even more excited to talk about it.
Wells as Wells. Yeah, we get Wells Adams here on the show. So obviously we've had some representation from the Bachelor, Bachelorette universe in the past. But Wells was interesting to me personally because I straight up did not know him outside of anything but he is Sarah Hyland's partner. Like I didn't know him at all. So I'm very excited here to learn and become by the end of this the most knowledgeable in Wells facts.
I'm excited for you to be the most knowledgeable in Wells facts.
So Haley, where do you want to kick this off? Who is Wells and why should we be excited for Wells Adams here?
I want to start off by saying like I am both surprised and not surprised he was cast for this show.
Okay.
Surprised because he's not the biggest name in Bachelor Nation, but I'd say probably one of the most consistent names in Bachelor Nation over the last probably 10 years. He might not have been around quite that long, but he's been in the Bachelor universe for a while. And he's had some interesting roles. He's been able to be kind of like a mid-tier contestant and leverage that into so many opportunities. I'm not surprised that he was cast for the show because he is smart and engaging, and because he has that kind of consistent fan base from Bachelor Nation. He was on JoJo's season of The Bachelorette. He was I think he was like a favorite of the people like me who like kind of like the goofy guy.
Okay.
I can't help it. Love the the goofy guy who just can't seem to make a play with the lead because there's Aaron Rodgers' brother kicking around and like three other jabronis who look exactly the same. So Wells went home in about 6th place. I think it was just after a one-on-one or recently after a one-on-one in which he was like the last person on the season to kiss JoJo. Like he had no game at that point. But he left the show. He was a huge fan favorite. They brought him to Bachelor in Paradise where he made an absolute killing. Like everyone wanted to be with Wells. I think he left alone, though, I'm pretty sure, in that season. I think that was Bachelor in Paradise 3. He was brought back in Bachelor in Paradise 4, not as a contestant, but as the bartender, where he remains to this day in Bachelor in Paradise. So he's a dude that they all come to for advice. He's doling out the tequila shots, no more than 2 per hour per person. He's following those rules. And he's kind of like the audience's voice. He has all these really great confessionals. He's kind of like the bird's eye view of Bachelor in Paradise.
Okay.
So I do think he's like an excellent pick for this show because he's used to watching everybody around him kind of act like morons and then comment on it. He's able to pick up relationships. He can, I think he can see where things are going. And he will give a good confessional. You can count on that.
Okay. So this is a very fascinating pipeline to follow because he starts off, like you said, as a contestant on the franchise, doesn't end up doing well there. Then he gets taken to Bachelor in Paradise, which for the uninitiated, is that basically like a Love Island meets The Bachelor type situation?
Basically. So all of the rejects come together and then they kiss each other.
Nice. Lovely. They have a good time by the sounds of it. So what's interesting to me though is that then he goes on season 3, he leaves as a contestant, Then the bartender on the show retires and he takes over that spot, because my initial thought when thinking he's the bartender was like, okay, so he's kind of like an NPC there. Like he's there, but also they're not really interacting with him. He's just kind of serving the drinks and he's like, you see his face, but you don't hear his voice. But it sounds like he's kind of like a co-narrator on the season.
Yeah, he is like he's a mainstay, and especially in the season of Bachelor in Paradise right after Chris Harrison got fired, where they were kind of playing with different hosts. Like David Spade was there for a couple days, Little John was there for a few days. I know if you're not into the Bachelor Nation, what I'm saying sounds truly insane, and it was quite the era to live through. But he was a mainstay, and so he's able to kind of add that level of familiarity. Like when you go to the beach, you expect to see Wells there, you expect to go to him for advice. It's absolutely wild how he's been able to transition like his sixth place on The Bachelorette into like a good career with this franchise. He also has a podcast, or he did at least, with Miley Cyrus's sister. One of them, I can't remember which one.
One of them sings too, right?
Not that one.
Not that one. Okay, I was gonna
one
say
of the other ones. Yeah.
Brandy Cyrus.
Yes.
How many siblings does Miley Cyrus have?
Like so many.
I feel like every couple of years I learn of a new one.
I know.
Interesting. So what was that podcast about? Just like stuff life?
I think it's just like pop culture, and they would talk about The Bachelor because he's in Bachelor Nation.
Okay. So also, well, like I said, he is the husband of Sarah Hyland, who, for those of you who do consume Peacock reality TV, was the host of Love Island for a couple of seasons there before this year. And I feel like now, knowing how he is and having seen how she is, I think he's going to have a good grasp of how to function in this manner.
I think he's geared to be one of the best players in this game.
Oh, snap.
I know it sounds crazy, but because he's so used to watching relationships, he understands how reality TV works. I bet he knows a lot of these people. Whether or not he's like done a deep dive into the Real Housewives of Dubai, I don't know. But like he's smart enough to have looked at some Wikipedia pages before getting on the plane to Scotland. And he just has a personality in which he doesn't need to be the center of attention all of the time. He's perfectly happy kind of being like the NPC, but people will come to him. He's charming, he's smart, he's fun. But like, I don't think they're going to be totally threatened by him.
And why is that? What is his stature like? Does he like, first impression style where, for example, I feel like when people first meet me without voice spoken, I might seem more intimidating than I actually really am. What is he like?
I think he's like your favorite IT guy. You know what I mean? Like he's like not imposing at all. He's like funny. He's a bit of a geek. Or at least like that's kind of how he was presented originally on The Bachelor. Like he may have a different impression now. But to me, he's kind of that, just like he's like a fun guy. He's like he's there for a good time.
We like a good vibes guy, and
he's a good vibes guy for sure.
Yeah, and that is, I think, something that's very much needed in a manner like this, because I feel like typically most people fall into one of two situations as faithful specifically, which is either they are gung-ho, I need to find the person, I'm digging, I'm investigating, I'm like hard sussing. And then there's people who will be like, I'm trying to hide. I'm trying not to be seen, not to be heard, not to talk. I feel like he's going to end up being a hybrid based on the description you're giving me.
I could see that. I could very much see that. I don't think he's going to be the one to lead any charges. He's going to be more under the radar. I think he would, if he ended up being a traitor, I think he'd be a pretty good one.
Which, do you think there's a world that happens? Do you think he's traitor material?
It would be really fun. I would say he's probably not the most like dynamic person that people are clamoring to be one of the traitors on this season. He is an interesting pick to me because I think he'll be such a straight man in this season. especially when we're looking at a lot of the other casts comparatively. I, I don't think he'll get lost in the fray, but I don't think he'll stand out, and I do think that's a good thing.
So I have his Bachelor Nation wiki open,
Mm-hmm.
and they've got some trivia about him. I'm assuming this was in their like bios from back in the day,
Yeah, so this was his
and
Bachelor bio from whatever season
many
he was
moons
on
ago.
so long ago.
So there's two things that are a bit of a red flag to me, and I would love to hear your takes on this. So
Okay.
first one is Meatloaf said he would do anything for love, but he won't do that. What will you not do? And he said, get a cat. Red flag from me,
I
personally.
know, I'm a cat girly.
Yeah,
Yeah.
so that's one. Two, what foods do you most dislike? I don't love pizza. I know that's weird, but it's true. Listen, I'm not saying pizza is the pinnacle of food having. And I know you and I both enjoy our food and we talk about food. Although I feel like we always end up talking about food whenever
We
we
do.
pod together. So I understand the not loving pizza, but you were told, what do you most dislike? You could say anything. Pizza?
I know, that's tough. Yeah, like who hates pizza? And if you hate pizza and you're listening to this podcast, don't message us. We don't need to hear about it.
Please and thank you. So then I have to ask you, Haley, there is one other person on this season that is from the Bachelor verse. That is Gabby. Now, do you know if these two know each other in any type of way?
I wouldn't be surprised if their paths have crossed at some point, just based on all like with all of the events and everything going on. Um, they weren't on the same season. Gabby's never been on Bachelor in Paradise. Like, if she knows who Wells is, that's like I'd be more. Wells definitely knows who Gabby is, but I don't know if Gabby
Hmm.
knows who Wells is. I mean, she probably does, but I could see them kind of forming like a little bit of a group because they're on the same franchise, but I don't think they have any loyalty to each other, like as pre-friends or anything.
I have a feeling that what's most likely going to happen with these two is they look at everybody there like, listen, it's just us from our universe. Let's keep each other safe at least a little bit until one of them starts getting suspicious of the other for being a traitor and for marinating, which could very well happen. So that could be very fun to see play out. Haley, what kind of people do you think Wells would mesh with? Because you've seen the cast. It's a big cast here. Let's start with the good part. Who do you think he would mesh well with? I want to kind of get a feeling of what kind of people I can expect him to communicate with.
I think he'll really enjoy Jeremy and
Okay.
Bob the drag queen. Like I think those three would be a really fun, like because they're just like level-headed, they're funny, and they can
Hmm.
they're they're they have an ego, but not like an overwhelming one where they need to be the center of attention. And maybe that's not true for Bob, but like I think Bob is level headed enough that can come into this and see it for the game that it is. Um, I think him and Brittany would have a good time together too, just like kind of being snarky little funny girls in the corner.
Hmm.
Um, I would be very interested to see him with Sierra. I think Sierra, I know this isn't the Sierra Summerhouse podcast, but I think Sierra might be a little overwhelmed because this is her first show that's not just like reality TV, it's like a game
Hmm.
show. So I think them pairing up together would actually be enjoyable because again, she's pretty level-headed. I wonder if he's like deep into the reality TV sphere and would like really enjoy trying to work with Danielle Reyes. I could see Danielle approaching Wells to want to work with him. He's kind of that I don't want to like push her into a box, but he seems to be kind of the alliance type she usually goes for.
Okay, so I think what also helps Wells' situation is his archetype in seasons past. I feel like he's gonna come off aloof. I don't think he's gonna be taken super seriously as a threat. The only thing that goes against him is, and I'm going to blank on this name because I've covered 4 Traitor seasons this year. What was the name of the batch? Oh, Pilot, was it Pilot Pete?
Yeah.
Yeah. So Pilot Pete came from that universe, and he played that hard, aggressive detective game Do you think there's a world where people look at Wells like, what franchise? Bachelor? Oh, Pilot P, we got to get him out. Do you think he might end up having to deal with that?
That's so interesting because I feel like Pilot Pete was an anomaly. Like, I don't think anybody expected the game from him that we got if you had seen his season of The Bachelor. Like,
Mhm.
I was deeply shocked. I was so impressed with how he played. I don't necessarily think it's a one-to-one of like, you came from the Bachelor universe, you're going down, especially because we have so many big hitters on this season who come from hardcore strategy games like Boston Rob, like Tony Vlachos, like Danielle Reyes and Jeremy Collins. Like, I don't think people are looking at Wells as like a threat. And I think he'll be good at not being a threat.
All right. So then let's move to the other side of the pendulum. Who do you think from this cast do you see Wells either clashing with, butting heads with, or just not working with or connecting with at all?
I would say I don't know how he'll be with Carolyn. I think he will be able to play it cool with everyone and only kind of let his emotions show in the confessional. He's had to do that for a long time. Do you know how many idiots
Mhm.
talk to him at the bar and be like at Bachelor in Paradise?
Oh,
And he just has to like pretend like that's okay.
I feel like bartending, period. You gain that
Yeah.
thick skin of because I've worked a cash before, and that's still not even close to, I think, what a bartender would be dealing with, especially if they're sitting at the bar and they're talking to you, they're confiding in you. I feel like there's a lot of like smile and nods that have to happen there, but in a way that it doesn't come off artificial.
Yeah, so I think Carolyn will be a lot for him. I bet he's a type of guy who likes predictability in people, and I don't think she's somebody who you can ever predict. Wait, when's his birthday? Let me look. I want to see what star sign he is. May
His
16th.
birthday, yeah, May, I'm saying 19th. I don't think that
Oh,
changed anything.
either way, he is an Aries, so he, he'll be strong-headed, which is wait, no, Taurus, maybe? Oh, now I've confused myself. No, I think he's a Taurus. So like pretty even keel and everything like that. Um, personally, I hope he hates Tom Sandoval because I hate Tom Sandoval.
I feel like that's going to be a very popular answer in these dives that I'm doing on the road. I feel like a lot of people are like, yeah, either they're not gonna connect with Tom, or I'm hoping they don't connect with Tom.
Yeah, and like I do you really want to shoot yourself and your career in the foot by teaming up with that guy? You don't. You don't. I think he won't be long for the world of Traitors, but it will be interesting.
All
I,
right.
I honestly like think he's going to get along pretty well with everyone. He's just that type of guy.
Again, he looks like he's got good energy. He sounds supremely chill. He sounds like being a bartender, good listener, good communicator based on the fact of what you're saying about him giving confessionals and narration during Bachelor in Paradise. So I feel like the confessional game's going to be there. My big worry for Wells is that even after learning about him now, I still get this vibe that he is not going to be, he doesn't walk into the room and become the biggest personality, which is not a bad thing in many situations. Wells is the exact type of person I want to hang out with at the party. I'm not looking for the loudest one. I'm looking for the one that we look at each other like, wow, this whole thing is a wild one, isn't it? Like that's who I'm looking for. But in the Traitors manner with these ace personality people, I could see Wells getting lost in the shuffle. I can also see him being a let's just murder Wells because no one's gonna bat an eye twice and no one's gonna know who would target Wells and we can move on.
I think that's a very fair assessment. Um, I just feel like they won't want to go for him first. Like I can understand where you're coming from, but I feel like they'll want to get some of the big names out first if they can. And by the time that they're like, oh well, like if we get out Wells, nobody will be really looking at us. I think he'll have done enough work to get in with everyone where he's not gonna be on the chopping block.
Okay, and then let me get an official prediction from you because I would like to look at these after the fact. So who's going to be Wells's number one ally?
I want to say Jeremy Collins.
Okay, and who's going to be Wells's number one enemy?
Like, this is tough because like who's going to choose Wells as their like as a mutual enemy rather than just like who he doesn't like. Um
I'll give you
oh,
the who he doesn't like if it's not an active feud, so long as he don't like them the most.
you know what? I'm gonna go with Sam because I feel like Sam's gonna come in and want to make a splash.
Oh God. Yeah. Well, that'll be a fun one episode arc. And then final prediction: do you think he will be a traitor or a faithful?
I think he'll be a faithful, but I think he'd be really good at being a traitor. And I bet he's somebody, if he got the offer mid-season to become a traitor, he would take it.
Okay. And where do you think he finishes this season? Not like necessarily placement, but give me like a rough, where do you think he goes, cause of death, if he is not the winner?
I would say past middle, but not the end. And I do think he would be killed by the traitors if he's not one.
Okay. Yeah, he doesn't give me he's gonna get banished. At least
No,
from what I'm looking at. Also, he kind of looks like a young Dr. Will in this photo. I don't
he
know if I'm
does.
losing it.
No, he really does. Yeah. And like the outfit he's in like Will was in a really cute little outfit
Oh,
last time.
you just
too.
wait. Danielle Reyes walks in, sees him, like, get young Will out of here. Get him out.
That might be his biggest detriment.
That's hilarious. Well, Haley, is there anything else you would like for us to know about Wells?
I'm really excited to see him play. Like he's not somebody I would have thought they would pick for this, but I'm really glad that he is, and I think people are gonna really like him.
I think so too. I think he's going to be someone rootable. I feel like we've seen players who come in from some of these shows that are somewhat of an unknown quantity by the time, and I say that unknown quantity in our circles, like the competitive reality TV circles, and then by the time they leave, they are adored. I think of someone like Bergie from last season, which I didn't see Bergie season of Love Island, but I had heard all these like, oh, he's a dummy. And then by the time he's leaving, I was like, oh, look, good for Bergie. We like him. So I feel like,
He had a great season. Yeah.
yeah. And I'm not saying Wells is a dummy by any stretch. In fact,
No, but you could see him like being a little bit of a star in this,
yes,
coming
becoming
from like
beloved.
a different universe. Yeah.
Yeah. All right. Well, Haley, thank you so much for your time here. I do appreciate it. Let the people know, where can they find you? What projects do you have going on?
The season of The Bachelor has just finished a couple of weeks ago, or the Golden Bachelorette, should I say. So you can find our coverage of that over on Talking Batch. We know the Bachelor podcast, formerly known as reality TV, or what was it called? Bachelor Wrap Ups.
What I introduced you with at the beginning without
No,
fact
you know
checking.
what? That just felt natural. And then the new season of The Bachelor is coming up this January, so keep your eye out for that. You can follow me on Twitter and Instagram at @strong_. And I also have a Bookstagram account called @the_strong_library. So if you want to catch up with all of my book reviews, you can find that there.
Perfect. Thank you so much, Haley. And of course, you all know where to find me. Blue Sky, Twitter, Pooyaism, twitch.tv/Pooya for when I'm not podcasting. That's where I hang out. And obviously, if you're listening to this, you're getting hyped for both Traitors UK launching season 3 on January 1st, and Traitors US launching January 9th for season 3. I'll be joined by Annabelle once again for Traitors UK. And of course, Rob will be joining me on the journey for Traitors US this season. I'm sure 90 Day is still going strong. The Hot Mess Express, we're riding it out. So come check that out. And thank you for giving us your time here today. I'll catch you tomorrow for the next episode. But until then, take care. Have a good one. Bye.